네, 팟캐스트 3 오늘의 게스트 샘슨 다우다 아놀드 클래시 챔피언이죠. 샘슨 다우다를 모셨습니다. 뭐 박수 큰 박수로. 네. Samson, would you kindly introduce yourself to briefly to South Korean parliament?
I'm Samson Dauda, IFBB Pro, 2023 Arnold Classic champion, and I'm finally here back in South Korea after 2020. And I've been looking forward to this for a long time, and it's good to be back. So thank you guys for bringing me.
Okay, so let's going back to your younger.
Yeah.
I brought some picture of you.
Yeah.
There's two picture of you.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
What were you doing at that period of time? Did you
Yeah.
ever imagine your future or yourself as a future?
No, not at all. I mean, you know, the one on the right is the one on the left was 2009,
Okay.
and then I just started going to the gym. Even then, I was just like, I just wanted to get a little bit of muscle. You know, I didn't realize anything about bodybuilding. I didn't know what bodybuilding was. I just wanted to, you know, you see, obviously I was very skinny as a kid, and I just wanted to be a little bit bigger, you know. So I started going to the gym then, not knowing what I was doing, just training normally and just doing whatever I saw other people doing. And then on the right is 2013, I believe.
Much swollen.
Yeah. Then I was playing rugby, you know, it's like, you know, rugby, American football style for British people. But that's the game I was playing there, and you know, when I started playing that, you know, I was just starting getting into sport. Even then, I didn't have anything about bodybuilding at all. I was just literally training for that sport. So you know, I started getting a lot more mass and everything else because rugby, obviously, you take a lot of hits from people, and you know, they were saying to me, you know, you gotta put more body on yours. You know, somebody's gonna hurt you on the field. So I was basically training for that and sort of build up to that physique. But I haven't got to the point yet where I even considered if bodybuilding was a thing at the time, you know.
Even in the right one.
Even in the right one.
Do you know the weight on that?
I remember when I started on the left one. I think I was 11 stone, like 72 kilos at the time.
72.
Yeah, and then on the right, I think by that point I was probably about 80 or 80 or 85 kilos at the right. You know, so I was still sort of, you know, I was growing anyway because of that. Because I started, you know, then at that point I met my partner at the time. I knew guys that have done bodybuilding. My friend Chris Jones, he owned a gym, and I spoke to him about, look, I want to get a little bit bigger. What do I need to do? And he was the first one who said, look, you need to eat a lot of food. And then you think right now it's obvious, but at the time I was just like, you train, you get big. You didn't understand how much you have to eat and how much food you have to do with it. So he taught me, okay, you know, you have to have breakfast, you have to have 2 meals, 3 meals, 4 meals a day. The more you can eat, the better your food can function for you to build muscle. So that was basically when I started learning the dynamics of how that works on that side. But even at that point, I did not think, you know, bodybuilding wasn't something I was thinking. I just wanted to get big so I can play my sport. I was going to get big to play rugby, so I didn't really know further, you know, that's what the future was going to bring to me, you know.
So what made you decide to stop doing the rugby?
Basically, what happened is, you know, as I was, you know, training and I was getting big and I was training with my partner, and she was sort of seeing me develop my physique and how disciplined I was in training and how, you know, how hard I could train and everything else. You know, I started growing like you see there, you know. And, you know, she sort of came up with the idea, you know, because she's been in the sport, she was following bodybuilding way before. So she said, you know, have you ever think about, you know, competing
in bodybuilding show?
And I was like, never really didn't cross my mind. I didn't know anything about it, you know. This is new to me. I was like, no, not really, you know. So, you know, every time she kept on saying to me, you know, why don't you think about bodybuilding? Why don't you think about bodybuilding? I was like, no, you know, because I was a rugby player, man. I liked rugby sport, you know, as a man, like macho sport, you know. For me, that was my sport, you know. I was like, nah, I don't do that, you know, that walking on stage. No, that's not for me. You know, I want to do real man sport. I want to run and all that. So started doing it took a year of sort of telling me,
convincing you for a year.
to try to actually
She saw the vision.
Yeah, you know. So at that point, you know, what happened when I was growing, I would play rugby, we'll have a game, and then we'll go to the change rooms and we'll have showers and stuff like that. And the guys in my team were saying, bro, you got physique. You ever thought about doing bodybuilding?
Oh, really?
I'm like, you too? Why is everybody saying, everybody's saying me,
everybody's
big. I'm like, what's going on? I was like, okay, you know what? After that, you know, you start hearing, you know, people saying that. You say, okay, man, okay, now I call, you know, I spoke to my partner, I said, okay, right, you know, this was towards the ending of 2013. And I said to her, okay, you know what, yeah, what's this bodybuilding thing? Yeah, I want to try it. Let me see what it's all about. You know, I'll give it a little show. You know, just give it a try. So there was a small show that was happening in my town back in the UK, and at that time I was like, okay, I picked that show. It was in 3 months' time, and I said, okay, what do we do? So we started training more like a bodybuilder, not a rugby player. Started training body parts and bringing on muscle groups and stuff like that, and started saying, okay, how can you improve on everything that. So even then, training for that show, I didn't know the diet. I didn't know. I just know that I could train. I didn't know anything about, you have to be eating healthily and everything. I was still eating pizzas and everything else and getting in. So that's how it kind of came about. But I still got in decent shape, and I did my first show in March 2014 or April 2014, and then I did a show where it was for the first time as people that have never competed before. So I did that, and so I went in there and I won that show. And that was the very first class I showed up in the day, in the early of the morning. So when I won the show, the promoter of the show said to me, you know what, you got good potential.
Wow.
Do you want to compete with the big boys tonight when the big boys, the open class guys come
What
up?
was your weight on that?
That was, I think it was 102 kilos.
Oh, you got 82 too.
Oh yeah, I was growing through time, so it was always like obvious. I was putting on.
Oh, wow.
I was able to put on
You're
muscle
putting on
fast,
weight, yeah, really fast.
So I didn't, at the time, even when you still seem like you're just skinny, you don't really know. You just think, well, this is normal. This is not something I don't know. Like this is average. So the promoter said to me, you know what? Why don't you compete with the big boys? See how you get on. Just jump in with them. So
With the open class?
Yeah. So I waited till the end of the evening, and then the open class boys, we pumped up. We went on stage with the open boys, and I'm looking at the big guys backstage. They're all pumping up. I'm looking like, oh, this is terrible. No, this is not good. This is a bad mistake. This is not, And then I was pumping up, and one of the judges that saw me early in the morning looked at me, came backstage and said, I think you can win this class. And I'm looking at him going, are you serious? Like, look, can you not see all these guys here? Are you serious? And he said, I think that you got a good chance. So came on stage, we drew to the posing round and everything else, and at the end of that class, I won that class as well.
Oh, wow.
And for me, it was like, okay. So, I didn't see it. I didn't know what my physique actually genuinely was like. But to see that come out as a result, I was like, okay, maybe this is...
Maybe you have
maybe there is something here. Maybe it's not just all talk. Maybe there is something happening. So, I kind of sat there and was like, okay, this might be good. Let me give another show. So 1 week later, and that show, a promoter of the following show called me up and said, I have another show happening in my town 2 weeks from now. Would you want to compete? I was like, yeah, no, I'm winning. Why not? So I went to that show 2 weeks later, and I won again, and I got the overall as well.
Wow.
So at that point, we were like, okay, now, maybe, because I remember the guy at the end of the show told me, you know what, kid, you have a really good talent, but you need to see it before you lose it. You need to make sure you see that you can do something this way, you can become a professional. Wow. So you need to really think about what you really want to do. Because he asked me then, what are you doing? I said, oh no, I'm a rugby player. I don't do this, I just want to see how you feel. And he said, you know what, yeah, you need to seriously think about this because you can go a long way. So at the end of the time, I kind of went home and we thought and we sort of think about it and everything else. And even then, I was still playing rugby and bodybuilding at the same time. I was still doing two.
With your weight? Or
over
100 kilos?
100 kilos. I was still playing. Playing the two sports, And so as we kind of got in, and it was like the following year, I think 2015. I was like, I want to know what does it mean to be a pro? What is bodybuilding? What is this sport? So I started relearning and doing my research and going online and read up and learn the history of the sport, where it started, how it came down the line, who the Mr. Olympia is, how the competition is held, what it means to be a pro bodybuilder, everything else. Started learning more about it and seeing physiques, and that's when, obviously for me, I started seeing physiques that I thought, wow, I want to look like that. I see Flex Wheeler, I see Phil Heath, I see, those guys, Kevin DeVron, Sean Ray. I see those big name guys. I looked at their physiques and I was like, you know what? I want to look like that one day. I want to look like that, yeah. So for me, that drew me into bodybuilding. That was like, seeing Sean Ray pose on stage, you look at him and go, wow, how can somebody that big move like that, See Flex Wheeler, so majestic, just beautiful. Look where you look at him, he's beautiful. And I say, look, this is beautiful. This is what I want to do, So from then on, I was like, okay, I wanted to learn to become a pro.
Okay. Obviously, it took almost a decade to become a Arnold Classic champions.
Yeah.
So, professional bodybuilding is hard to define as a job.
Yeah.
Competing requires a lot of money spending rather than earning it. Yeah. Before your success, it may have been difficult to motivate yourself and even just to make a livelihood.
Yeah.
So, what was going through in your mind in head in those period of time?
Man, professional bodybuilding is extremely difficult. It's extremely difficult compared to other sports because one thing is it requires your full attention 24/7.
Yes.
And there is no gap. There is no, well, today I can have today off. I can rest. There is none of that. But at the same time, you don't make any money from it. It's not like, you become a professional football player immediately.
Yes, you get a contract. You get a contract.
Immediately,
Yeah.
with any other sport, you become professional, you get a contract. That's you said.
That's what it is.
With bodybuilding, there's none of that. So when you're trying to do this job, you're trying to do this sport, it takes a lot out of you. Not just the training, the diet. I mean, you know how much it costs to pay food and everything else. It's a lot of money. And then you have to travel for shows and everything else, and in return, you're not making any money back. So it can be very difficult like that when you first start off. And during those periods for me, when I was going through it, honestly, it was draining because I was working full time. I was working a full-time job in construction.
Oh, wow.
I was doing, working from 6 o'clock in the morning all the way to 7 o'clock at night. Finish from work, then drop my stuff, go to the gym,
and
train, wake up the next morning, and do it again over and over and over again. But you have to have a vision. You can't, this one. It's something that when you're doing that every day, and you're giving all, I was working overtime, I was working just to pay for bodybuilding. And I wasn't getting anything back. I was just doing shows, and I wasn't winning shows, so I wasn't getting any reward back from it. You have to have a vision to know that, okay, one day my time will come. You have to have that. If you don't have that vision, loads of people give up. And this is the problem: is like when you're doing this every day and you're suffering, you're sacrificing every day. Eventually, your spirit starts coming down. Your mindset, everything starts to drop, and you start feeling like, okay, maybe this is not going to work. Maybe it's not going to. And that's why I felt like, when I came 2020, that was my year. 2020, I said, you know what, I've done this coming up to, at that point I was 8 years at the time, and I was thinking, you know what, I'm not making money. I'm losing, me and my wife, we're both working full time, and we're not enjoying our life. We're paying for bodybuilding. And I'm traveling, I'm doing this, and I'm not getting anything back from it. So I was like, you know what, maybe this year I'll do one more year. If it doesn't work, then that's my last year. So 2020 was my last year in bodybuilding. 2020 was like, okay, if I don't make it to Olympia this year, if I don't get a way of bodybuilding paying for itself, I was going to walk away. And I know that a lot of people that do this sport are in that same boat. A lot of people can be in that same mindset where you've given a lot out and you feel like
you're not getting that.
I'm not getting anywhere. I'm running one sport. I'm going to give up. But honestly, I just want to say that time for me was very close to that. But I am definitely glad I did stick it out.
You stick it out because now you're here.
That's what I mean. They say the best things always happen right for the moment when you're about to give up. So just hold on just a little bit longer.
That's good advice for people. And you won the 23 Arnold Classic.
Yeah.
We could see your drastic change on your body compared to the 22 Olympia.
Yeah.
What was your strategy for Arnold? And obviously, Nick Walker, who was your biggest competitor at the Arnold Classic, brought the different strategy compared to the Olympia. Yeah. Do you think that change was the factor in your winning and him losing?
I think, because what happens is when we did the Olympia, we didn't know, we were good, but we didn't know how good we could be. Mm-hmm. We were coming to Olympia, it was the first time, my first Olympia. You're going 30 best guys in the world.
Yes.
I don't know how, I've never stood next to everybody. I don't know how I would do. But at that point, we were like, look, we knew we've had a great off season. We've put on a lot of muscle and we're looking good in the prep. And I was saying, okay, for me, that Olympia was, if I make top 10, that's a win. My first Olympia, cracking top 10, especially in a lineup of 30 guys, that's a big positive. Mm. So that was our goal going to Olympia. So when we then did the Olympia and everything else, we listened to the judges' feedback. Mm-hmm. And the judges said, look, it's all there. All you need to do is come in tighter, get a smaller waist, and just fix that. If you can do that, it's all there. So when we knew, by then we already knew we were going to do the Arnold 14 weeks later. So the whole idea of that was, okay, we know what the judges want to see. we have to give them what they ask for, nothing more. They want that. They want you to be big and massive, but they want you to still look aesthetic and refined and with a tighter form. Don't change anything. Don't try to be too much of anything else. Just play your own game. You know,
just details, a little bit
more detail. So So we went away and we trained the whole for the Olympia, for the Arnold, with that in mind. It was okay. We're this here. All we need is a little bit more detail. So we played to our strategy because that's my strength. That's where my physique shines. If I try to be too lean and be too shredded, I'll end up losing a lot of size, and I end up looking small and stringy. I don't look as blown out. And if I do that, there's no longer that wow. You lose that wow factor, you lose that pop. Once you lose that on stage, it's now you're just another big guy that is shredded. So you have to sort of play to your strengths, and that's what we wanted to make sure when we were coming to the Arnold was that is our strong point. Highlights that strong point. You know, you have these lines everywhere. You have this shape. You have this round muscle belly. Make that more. Don't change it. Just make that more. So we sort of kept to that game plan coming to the coming to the Arnold, and you know we got the results for that. So yeah, we're really impressed. We're really happy with that. You know.
Now we are talking you. You can be the potentially next Mr. Olympia. Now we can talk. Yeah. We want to hear your own opinion. What does Samson Dauda need to do in the future to become the Mr. Olympia? What do we need?
I just think we just keep doing what we're doing because this time last year, 2021, when I did the Arnold, nobody said, "Oh, this guy's going to win the Arnold for next year." You know, 2021 when we did Arnold, we came fourth. Nobody said, nobody saw it. I didn't even know. They said, "Oh, if you come back next year, you're going to win the Arnold." We didn't know. So we went away. We just kept our head down. We said, "Okay, right, train hard, do what we're doing, put on size, just work on your weaknesses, bring up your back, bring up this part, bring up your shoulders, bring up those muscles, come better conditioning." So when we went away, we just focused on that. And then we obviously did the Olympia and placed top 6. Like, wow, this is a good result. So we still went back away, followed the same game plan, and then we come back to the Arnold and win on the Arnold. So now, when you go into the Olympia, why would you change? Don't change if it's working.
Fred is perfectly working.
It's working. So don't you see your results is getting better.
Don't get greedy.
Don't get greedy. Don't change anything. Don't try to overthink it. Don't try to do too much, or else you will lose what you have. Just follow what your plan is working. So just keep following that.
After hearing younger days of your life, I really want to ask about this one. This one is I captured this moment. That is the moment that Judge Cole, Hunter, Andrew, and you, and then after that, they said, "Leave the Samson." What was going through your mind?
I felt like, you know, this was my first Olympia. It was my first test and trial. So when you're in the Olympia stage, you know, 30 guys are the best guys in the world. My first big show like that. I don't know how good. You don't know how good you are. You've seen the pictures. You've seen everything. But when you're backstage, nobody's gonna come saying, "Hey, you look very good. You're gonna win." You don't know. So you're standing there like, okay, maybe I think I'm good. Nobody's telling anything. We're all athletes. Nobody's going to say, so you stand there. So when you're there, you don't know. So when you go on stage, you pose the first round. I was in first call out, so I'm like, okay, this is good. Yes, this is the first call out.
Yelling
you know what I'm saying? So I'm smiling. I'm going, okay, I must be good. This is good, you know. And then, you know, they called us back out and they bring us second. Then they put me in second call out. So automatically, you're thinking, okay, maybe I'm good, but not that good. You know, you start feeling that way, you know. So you start feeling. So when they did the second call out and they said stay, you're going back to the first call out. I'm like, no, now you feel like, I am the, you know. So you feel that power of, okay, now it's not a case of your friend saying, "Oh, you're gonna," you know. This is what I mean. So you have that feeling of now you know that's confirmation from the judges that you are that good. We've tested you, put you with other people. And you are the last.
You got more hyped up when you heard that.
So that point, I believe, started right at that moment. It was the first moment where I started believing.
It was very impressive.
I'm winning. I can do this. You know.
And for a while.
For a while.
This is the way we've been done. Not my last time.
You know. So for that, it changed. It was the first moment where that mindset finally changed. It was no longer I just want to do my best. It was now I'm good enough to win. I'm good enough to be the best. So that was that moment where it felt like, yes, your hard work, all that
paid off.
sacrifice, it's work. It works. It was not just doing it for nothing. It hasn't been for nothing. It's been for reward. And here's your reward, finally.
Is there like special kind of relief when you?
Oh my God, yes.
Was it
yes.
like crazy?
Oh my God, yes. You know, because the thing is, people don't know when you're going to the Olympia, especially that last year, it's a lot of pressure. There's a lot of pressure. People want to, everybody's predicting you here, predicting you there, and you're going into that show with a lot of pressure because you want to perform your best. Nobody wants to just go there and be like, he was okay, but he didn't really do much. So you have that pressure going in the show of, I want to be my best. And you've been training for months and months, and this is your dream, to be on this stage.
On the stage.
So you have that pressure of yourself already, and then your country, people in your country, they're like, yes, come on, you're going to do it for us. Your family, everybody, the fans, they want to see you do well. They have that pressure, they believe in you. And you're at that stage where you don't have that sort of strong belief in yourself. So you feel that pressure a lot more. You start thinking, man, I'm training as hard as I can. I'm dieting, doing everything else, but is it good enough? Am I going to be good enough? Is it going to be rewarded? Am I going to go on there and be like, oh, okay, good, thanks for coming, next time? You don't know. So when you go into that show, for that, you feel that weight. It feels like a lot of weight. So when you go on stage and that happens, that moment that happens, even the moment, I remember when we were standing there, I remember they did the walk-ons and I stood next to Rami and everything else and I came back and I was like, okay. that was tough. Okay, let's see what happens, And then we have the call-outs and you have 30 guys on stage and I'm standing there and they're saying, okay, first call-outs, they call in Hardy, Nick, Brandon, Derek, Rami, and then they call me and it feels like you stand there and you go, is that a mistake? Oh, no. Oh my God, this is that's why. So I walk out thinking, okay, this is crazy, and it's not just, it wasn't just a lineup where there was only 10 guys. It was 30 of the best in the world.
Yeah.
And they just pulled you out as one of the first.
Yeah, one of the first guys.
It's insane, like I said, 2020 I was here trying to qualify for the Olympia. 2020 I was trying to win one show just to go to Olympia. And then 2 years later, they call you as the first call out at Olympia.
It's crazy.
It's a very big jump in a short time. Yeah. And your body goes there because you've trained your physical level, your mentally, because you've had so many setbacks, so many times where it's just, no, not yet, not good enough, not good. Your mental part hasn't raised that part yet. So when you get there, your body might be good enough to be, wow, that's it. But your mind doesn't know that yet. So when we were on stage at that point, it was the first time where I thought, okay, I am good, Milos, my coach, he's been shouting to me all this time, yes, first call out, first. I'm like, I don't know. He's like, no, Milos will say, no, you're going to be first call out this year, first call out. I'm like, man, I just want to be top 10. That's good. He's like, no, first call out, first. Milos, he doesn't, and he would say, no, don't believe in it. You're going to be first call out. Don't worry, I'll make it. And I'm, you're standing there, you're trying to believe it, but at the same time, you know that you've had so many disappointments, so you're almost preparing yourself for another disappointment. You don't want to be too excited, too happy because
you got the step when you get set back.
Exactly.
You get bigger.
So, but then when you're there and then that happens, you're like, whoa, okay, all right.
Milo, you're right.
You're right. You're okay. So it's not just me. So there is something there, So when you did the Arnold, when you did the Olympia, it felt like a confirmation. It felt like, yeah.
That you're good at it.
You are good at this. There's something there. You can be the best at it. So yeah, it was definitely that moment for me,